once again, dear children, and welcome to this third episode of Bible Treasures. I am Sophia, your treasure guide for today's episode. I want to begin by reminding you that Christ transforms sinners into saints and murderers into martyrs. That same Christ can transform our biblical ignorance and illiteracy into wisdom and luminance if we let Him. The Word of God draws you and me more fully into the sacramental church, the apostolic tradition, and the incarnational Christ found most specifically in the Holy Eucharist. Dive into the Bible and allow the Lord to radically transform your life. Children, have you ever given a thought of how our Holy Mass has its roots in the Bible? There are so many direct and indirect references to the Bible in the Mass. For example, the 5 readings at Mass, especially Sunday Mass. The first reading, mostly from the Old Testament, the responsorial psalm. The second reading from the New Testament, excluding the Gospels, the Gospel acclamation, and the Gospel readings are extracts from the Bible. Today, for your assignment, we would like you to prepare a list of all the prayers, responses, etc. from the Holy Mass that have a reference in the Bible. As a hint, all I can say is, don't forget to pray our Father before you begin the list. It is now time to move to the greatest treasury of prayer for Jews and Christians. Yes, you have guessed it right. It's time for the Psalms, and to let them speak your heart as it does for countless believers.
Wednesday, the 12th of May. Here's some very motivational, energizing, rise and shine verses from Psalm 57. And that's something to take away and pray for the rest of the day. My heart is ready, O God, ready to face whatever it is you send me, ready to accept and make of it an offering back to you. My heart is ready.
sing, age to age proclaim your splendor and your glory. You are kind to us, O God, full of tender love and mercy, and your graciousness and your constancy have overflowed. Be exalted, O God, above the heavens. Let your glory be over all the earth. Be exalted, O God, above the heavens. Let your glory, let your glory, let your glory be over all the earth.
We thank Father Savio and his Mass team for leading us in the praise, worship, and adoration through these Psalms.
As per the book of Genesis, while Adam lived for 935 years, one of his great-great-grandsons lived for 969 years. Do you know Prophet Elijah outrun a chariot? Wow, what a runner! Which of the Old Testament books do you think is the shortest? It's the book of Prophet Obadiah. It has 1 chapter and 21 verses.
We now move to one of the most suspenseful narrative in the Bible. It is about how a family breaks up, comes together. It shows how complicated relationships in the family are. It's time for the story of Joseph.
Long ago, in the land of Canaan, there lived a family of shepherds, Jacob and his 12 sons. Joseph was next to the youngest. Of course, Jacob loved all his children, but something about this younger son touched his father's heart in a special way. Joseph loved to hear about God. He would sit for hours at his father's knee, learning how God had called his great-grandfather Abraham to serve him, and how God had chosen their family for a very special purpose. Joseph's family was to be called God's people, his appointed witnesses to all the world. As the story grew familiar, the Lord became very real to Joseph, and he wanted to serve him with all his heart. How different his brothers were. They only wanted to please themselves, and the things they did brought shame to the name of their family. As Joseph grew up, his father loved him more and more, for Joseph was all that a son should be: good, obedient, and honoring his father in everything he did. He became his father's trusted servant, and this made the other sons angry. They were jealous that Joseph was loved and trusted more than they were. They never missed a chance to be mean to Joseph, and they despised all the good things he did. But God's loving care was so real to Joseph that he talked to the Lord about his problems, and the Lord never failed him. With God's help, Joseph found that he could even forgive his brothers and go on loving them, no matter how unkind they were. When Joseph was 17 years old, his father gave him a beautiful coat. It was a mark of honor to show that Jacob was pleased with his younger son. Wearing this coat set Joseph in a place above his brothers, and Joseph deserved the honor because he had served his father better than the others. But of course, the brothers didn't see it that way. They envied Joseph so much that they hated him. It was even worse when they heard of a strange dream Joseph had, and as they talked about that dream, their hatred grew and grew. They jeered at Joseph and tried to make it seem he was lying, pretending to have a dream like that just to make himself big and important. Then Joseph told his family about a second dream he'd had. This time, the sun and moon and the 11 stars seemed to come down and bow to him. Now even Jacob rebuked his beloved son. Do you mean that I and your mother and your brothers will bow down to you as if you were a king? As much as he loved and trusted his son, Jacob hardly thought of him as a king. But as the days passed and he saw how humble, good, and faithful Joseph was, Jacob began to think that the dreams must have been sent by God. But not his brothers. Dreams or no dreams, they weren't going to have Joseph telling them what to do. And so in their hearts an evil purpose began to grow. One day they were out in the hills tending their father's sheep, and away in the distance they saw Joseph. Here comes that dreamer. Now's our chance to be rid of him for good. Quickly they plotted together. Come on, let's kill him. Then we'll see what becomes of his fine dreams. So without any warning, they seized Joseph. They stripped off the beautiful coat that had made them so envious and were ready to kill their own brother. Just then Reuben, one of the older sons, saw a deep hole nearby and had an idea. Instead of killing Joseph, they would cast him into the pit. It might mean slow death for Joseph from starvation and exposure, but actually Reuben intended to come back later and help him escape. Then, before Reuben had a chance to do anything about it, a caravan of traders came along on their way to Egypt. The brothers decided that here was an even better way to get rid of Joseph. For 20 pieces of silver, they sold him as a slave. Now the traders would take him far away. The brothers thought that they would never see Joseph again. Some animal's blood spread on Joseph's coat would make Jacob believe that a wild beast had killed his dearest son, and he would never have guessed what had really happened. The plot against Joseph seemed to work without a flaw. Poor Joseph! He was a slave in a foreign land, despised and forsaken. The faithful and obedient son, who loved and served God with all his heart, had come to the lowest depths of suffering and shame. But Joseph knew his heavenly Father would never forsake him, and his faith grew stronger as his trials grew worse. Joseph served as a slave for 6 years and then spent 7 years in prison for something he didn't do. But at last, God rewarded his faith in a marvelous way. Suddenly, Joseph was made a great prince of Egypt as a result of his interpreting one of Pharaoh's dreams. And because of Joseph's God-given wisdom and ability, he was made ruler over all the land of Egypt, second only to the king himself. Through 7 years of bountiful harvest, Joseph stored up food in great storehouses, for the Lord had told him that famine was coming. As famine came in, every land, fields, and pastures were scorched under the hot sun. There was no food anywhere for the cattle or for the people. And Joseph's brothers in Canaan were hungry along with the rest. But there was food stored up in Egypt, and when Jacob's sons heard about it, they came all the way from Canaan and waited in line to ask for help. They bowed before Joseph, the great prince of Egypt, without guessing at all that this was their brother. How strange Joseph must have felt when he recognized his brothers. The dreams that had made them so angry had actually come true. God himself had caused it to happen. And when Joseph finally told his brothers who he was and forgave them for the way they had treated him, the brothers could see that Joseph was blessed because he obeyed God. But this was not something that had happened overnight. Joseph's whole life had led up to this. As a child, Joseph had loved his father and learned to obey him. As a young man, God had blessed Joseph's obedience and made him a favorite son. Even when he was in chains, Joseph trusted the Lord, and because of his unwavering faith in God, Joseph received honor and respect all the rest of his life. And if today we meet trial and trouble with the same trust and obedience to God, we can look forward with great expectations to that wonderful day of our reward.
The brothers get 20 pieces of silver for Joseph, whereas Judas receives 30 pieces of silver for betraying his Lord with a kiss. Joseph's love and desire for reconciliation are demonstrated by his concern for the well-being of his father and the survival of his extended family. Joseph's response to his situation gives us a key understanding of how, when men plan and carry out evil, God can turn it around and in the long term bring good out of it.
Do you know which is the longest verse in the Bible? It is the book of Esther, chapter 8, verse 9. It contains 90 words. Do you know the longest word in the Bible? It's here on the screen, taken from the book of prophet Isaiah, chapter 8, verse 1. Don't ask me to say it. Please see for yourself on the screen. That's a strange name, which means spoil is swift, the prey is speedy.
Prophets are people of devout faith who voiced God's will. They warned of the dangers of ignoring God and also correctly predicted many events, such as the coming of the Messiah. Today, we will look at two such prophets, Micah and Amos. Both of them criticized the social and religious problems of their times, especially the oppression of the poor.
Amos was a shepherd who lived in a small village of Tekoa in the Judean hills. Like most of the other shepherds and farmers, he was a poor man. One day, God commanded Amos to go down to the prosperous city of Bethel, where Jeroboam, the king of Israel, lived. Amos was amazed when he saw the great contrast between the hard life of his friends in the country and the soft, luxurious life of the wealthy rulers and merchants in the city. And he knew that God wanted him to warn the people that all their power and wealth would be taken away if they continued to be selfish and neglect the poor. Amos reprimanded the people of Bethel for paying the farmers and shepherds so little for their grain and sheep. He told them that God did not want great feasts in his honor or burnt offerings of the finest sheep and grain when other people did not have enough food. That kind of easy worship without true obedience and thoughtfulness would bring ultimate destruction on the foolish people. Amaziah, the high priest of Bethel, confronted Amos and told him that reproaches had aroused the anger of King Jeroboam. He told Amos that he must leave the city and prophesy in another land. Amos replied that he was not a fortune teller or a professional soothsayer, but a simple shepherd who felt the sorrow of the poor people and saw the evil in the land. Therefore, he would not leave the country or stop preaching until he had delivered God's message.
Remember the following quote from Christmas time. But you, O Bethlehem, Ephrathah, who are little to be among the clan of Judah, from you shall come forth for me one who is the ruler of Israel, whose origin is from ancient days. Therefore, he shall give them up until the time when she who has labor pains has brought forth. Then the rest of his brethren shall return to the sons of Israel. That was Micah prophesying the birth of Christ, at least 700 years before the birth of Jesus. Come on now, it's time to accompany Seth and Ephraim and their talking animals as they reveal a couple of the 10 commandments in this unique style.
We've been camped at Mount Sinai for several months, and things were kind of boring. When you're in the desert, you want adventure, not memorization.
All right, Seth. I will let you go camping with Ephraim, which means that you'll follow my instructions.
Of course.
Good, because I have a few extra rules for your campout.
Aw, Mom.
1. There are animals prowling the desert at night, so I want you to sleep inside the tent.
No problem.
2. Do not leave camp to collect manna before checking with me.
I won't leave camp without your permission.
And 3. You'll be very careful.
I will, Mom. I promise.
Oh, Lord, please help Seth to remember your words.
Honor your father and mother. Then you will live a long, full life in the land the Lord your God will give you. Do not murder.
Ephraim and I have been planning a camp out for weeks. We really wanted to be out on our own, away from our parents, and ready for adventure. Ephraim, this is so neat. Take a look at what I brought. That's your dad's sword. He let you borrow it?
Well, not exactly, but I'll put it back before he wakes up.
What a beauty.
Zilla, come to bed.
What about the desert bandits?
Oh, rumors, darling, just rumors. Besides, Joshua's posted sentries, so even if a bandit could possibly slither his way into camp, what kind of idiot thief would expect to find something valuable in a boy's tent?
You two, cover the west side of the camp. I'll take the east. Grab what you can. Valuables, you understand? And remember, if anyone spots you... Come, Odiferous, my fiendish little friend. We have work to do.
a hole in the tent! Oh no! My father's sword is gone!
Martha! We've got to do something.
Shouldn't we wake the adults?
Would you rather tell your dad that his sword is missing and you don't know where it is? Or give him a detailed description of the bandits and where they're heading?
Good point. Let's go. But we'll only go as far as the manna field. Then we'll be able to show the adults where to find them. Right?
Right. Rachel, fly like the wind.
I hope we're doing the right thing.
There they are. 3 of them.
Come on, Seth. Isn't this close enough?
No. Giddy up, Rachel. Pretend you're a racehorse.
Malachi! Malachi! Oh no.
They went into the hills over there.
Okay, let's turn back and tell the adults.
If we keep them in sight, we can guide Joshua right to them. We've gone this far. We can't turn back now, can we?
Of course we can.
Come on, Ephraim. This is adventure. We'll be heroes. Giddy up, girl.
This is not a good idea.
Seth and Ephraim are gone.
Gone?
There's a knife slit in the tent. Omri!
Malachi the sentry has been killed.
Oh no! I must go and comfort his family.
Wait, there's more. I think deserters from the Amalekite army we defeated at Rephidim have stolen items from all over the camp.
Seth and Ephraim are missing as well. Oh
Omri, come with me. If the boys are out there, we must quickly find them.
Boss, look at all that gold and jewels. You're the best. I mean, the worst. The worst bandit ever. Thank you. I do try to set an example. Well, you stole at least one useful thing.
Hey, what happened to your sword?
It got stuck in something. Hey, old boy. Okay, what did you steal, Yuji? A lamb? You stole a lamb?
Yeah! You have a bed!
Yuji, rough and tough bandits don't keep lambs as pets. As a snack, maybe, but not as pets!
I want to go back, Seth.
Stick with me, pal, and we'll come home heroes.
Seth, this is really dangerous.
You've got to be ready when destiny calls you. Right now, there's no time to waste. There are battles to win, yes, and challenges men have to face.
We're not men, we're just boys being bad.
I have longed for adventure to find me, where I'll fearlessly face the
But our
unknown.
parents don't know.
I believe it's time to make a choice of our own.
Is it the right way to go?
I want to see the four corners of the
Someday perhaps, wouldn't it wait?
Find out the metal I'm made of, see what I'm
We
worth.
can turn back, it isn't too late.
Learn the secrets of the desert and sail the oceans wide. Brand new sights and aromas.
There is where home
New
is.
colors and splendors.
And thieves and pretenders.
Where secrets and truth lie, I'll see them with you by my side.
I pray we'll have God as our guide.
Are you with me, my friend?
Yes, I am to the end on the trail of adventure.
ground?
I don't know.
Sandstorm! Run, Rachel, run!
Now, this sandstorm came out of nowhere.
Joshua, what of the boys?
Not a trace, Moses. If they're caught in that sandstorm, Lord have mercy.
We must find them, Joshua. Find Ephraim and Seth. You can do it. Find my boy. Please, Zeke.
It feels like we're going uphill! I can't hear you! A cave! Let's go inside!
Layla, any news?
They are definitely not in the camp. Old Jasana saw them leave early this morning on our donkey.
I was afraid of that. What can we do?
We need to pray. That's all we can do.
Yes.
Oh Lord, bring our boys back safely.
Ugh. Oh, it sure stinks in here.
What's that? He's wearing my father's sword. He's one of the bandits.
Well, well, well. Boys, what brings you to these desolate and lonely parts?
We're just passing by, collecting firewood.
Uh-huh. Alone, I see.
We'll just be going.
Don't go! You must be my guests! Besides, we can't have you telling people where to find us now, can we? Get the point?
Yup, got it.
I would rather you had not discovered our location. Any way you slice it, it's a sticky situation. I'm inclined to send you on a permanent vacation. Well, what did you expect from a murdering thief like me? You'd have had a charming life of happiness and cheer, though I would say your chances here are something less than zero. Now you'll see what happens when you try to be a hero. Well, what did you expect an Amalekite thug would be? I look at a lamb and all I see is a belly full of lamb chop stew. And I gotta stop boys who are where they shouldn't be, doing what they shouldn't do. Wouldn't you run them through? Murder is a crime, but I'm above all the regulations, laws and stipulations. Try and catch us, will they never? They're too slow and we're too clever. Sorry boys, but don't you see you're just an inconvenience? Sure, I'd like to spare you, but I got no time for lenience. Murderers are known for being miserable and mean, hence I just don't give a hoot for the fate of two boys like you. So you better say your prayers, though I'm sure nobody cares if you shish kebab before I'm through. Well, what did you expect? One so good at being bad to do. Kill the lamb and the boys.
What?
Do we have to kill him, boss? What if we just made him our slaves for life?
Yeah, maybe they're trainable.
Tell me, boys, have either of you ever picked a pocket?
Our God tells us not to steal.
Oh, I suppose you always obey your parents, too.
I wish.
Me too.
Well, that settles it. After carefully considering the costly expenditures of time, money, energy, meager rations, constant beatings, and so forth, We have only one choice. Raka, kill them.
What?
Watch out! Odysseus, kill that bird! Let's tie up these pathetic thieves.
Boys, are you all right?
Yes, sir. I'm so sorry for causing you all this trouble.
I'm just glad that you and Seth are all right.
Thank you, Father.
You must also thank Zeke, for it was he who found you.
Thank you for saving us. I feel so bad. I shouldn't have ignored my mother's rules. I almost got Ephraim and me killed. Do you think she'll ever forgive me?
What do you think?
I think I never should have disobeyed.
It is wise to honor your mother by listening to her. It's one way in which you show respect for God.
Mom! Seth! Seth! Ephraim! Mother!
Mom, I am so sorry.
Oh, I am so glad that you are safe.
I promised to listen to my mom when she told me not to do things. I also promised myself to never forget Malachi the sentry, who was murdered while protecting our camp. You know, after our little adventure, I think I appreciate how sacred life is a lot more.
Hi friends! Those of you who have brothers or sisters will understand this better. A Sunday school teacher was discussing the 10 commandments with her 5 and 6-year-olds. After explaining the commandments to honor thy father and mother, she asked, "Is there a commandment that teaches us how to treat our brothers and sisters?" Without missing a beat, one little boy answered, "Thou shalt not kill."
Beatitudes and woes were common biblical forms used to pass judgment on situations or attitudes of people. The Gospel of Matthew, chapter 5, shares some 8 wisdom beatitudes in which the blessing is related to the right attitude, especially to have dependence on God. And we now join Sabi Sir as he helps us refresh our memory of the beatitude in song. Thank you, Sabi Sir, for the melodious refresh of the Beatitudes.
The record holders in the Bible for being strongest, wisest, greatest, biggest are as follows. Samson is the strongest man in the Bible. Solomon is the wisest. The greatest warrior is Gideon. With 300 men, 300 trumpets, and with God's help, he defeated 135,000 Midianites. I'm sure we will be able to tell the biggest and tallest villain in the Bible. That's easily Goliath, who stood at 9.5 feet. Did you get called a crybaby ever? Well, think about Jeremiah, who was called the weeping prophet.
We now move to looking at another Jewish heroine, Esther. The book of Esther was intended as a consolation for the Jews who settled in other countries and had to often suffer ridicule and persecution from their non-Jewish neighbors. The story of Esther was written to remind them that God would never abandon his people and that he chooses his own human instrument, in this case a woman, to help them in distress.
In the days of the Old Testament, there lived a rich and powerful king named Ahasuerus, who ruled all of the Persian Empire. To celebrate his great prosperity, King Ahasuerus invited his princes, noblemen, and servants to a big feast which lasted for 7 days. On the last day of the celebration, the king sent for his beautiful wife Vashti because he was proud of her and wanted to present her to the people. But Vashti refused to come at the king's command. Ahasuerus was enraged at the queen's rude behavior and felt that her actions might encourage other wives to disobey their husbands. So he sent Vashti away from the palace and issued a decree. This called all the beautiful young maidens of the land to come before him so that he could choose a new queen. A Jew named Mordecai heard the decree and was eager for his niece Esther to go before the king because she was very beautiful. So Mordecai brought Esther to the palace, first advising her not to tell anyone that she was of the house of Israel. When Esther went before Ahasuerus, he could not take his eyes away from her. He fell in love with her and preferred her to all the other maidens. So he set the royal crown on Esther's head and made her queen in place of Vashti. After several days had passed, Esther's uncle Mordecai happened to pass 2 of the king's guards and overheard them plotting to murder the king. Immediately Mordecai went to Esther, who in turn told Ahasuerus of the plan to murder him. When the matter was investigated, the 2 guards confessed to the plot and were put to death. Then Ahasuerus appointed a man named Haman, in whom he had great trust, to be his chief officer in charge of the many princes and governors in the land. All the people of Persia bowed down to Haman to show their respect for the king's favored servant. But Mordecai did not trust Haman and refused to bow down to him. Haman was filled with fury and hatred and vowed that he would punish not only Mordecai but all the Jews in the land. Haman went to Ahasuerus with an untrue story. He told the king that certain people in Persia were following their old customs instead of obeying the king's laws. Haman urged the king to destroy these people, but he said they were weakening his kingdom. Ahasuerus trusted and believed Haman, and so he gave him full permission to do whatever he believed was necessary for the good of the country. With the king's permission, the evil Haman ordered the death of every Jew in the land. When Mordecai heard this fearful news, he tore his clothes and put on sackcloth, the robes of grief. Then he went to Esther chambermaids and asked them to take the news to Esther. He also told them to ask her to go before the king and plead for her people's safety and for her own life. However, there was a royal custom that no one could approach the king unless that person was sent for. If any man or woman disobeyed this rule, the penalty was death. But Esther knew that she had to speak to the king, not only to save her own life, but for the sake of all the Jews in Persia. So she put on her most beautiful royal robes and stood at the entrance to the king's palace. Ahasuerus was sitting on his throne, and he at once saw his fair queen standing before him. Instead of being angry, Ahasuerus was pleased to see her and held out his golden scepter to show Esther that she was welcome. And Esther drew near and touched the end of the scepter as a sign of respect to the king. Then Ahasuerus promised to grant any wish for Esther, even if it meant giving away half of his kingdom. But Esther explained that her only wish at that moment was for the king and his officer Haman to join her at dinner the next evening. Both the king and Haman accepted Esther's invitation, and Haman went away feeling very happy and honored that the queen had chosen him as her guest. In fact, he felt so safe and secure of both the king and queen's favor that he had the gallows made for Mordecai's hanging the next morning. That same evening, King Ahasuerus had trouble falling asleep, so he sent for a special book in which all the memorable deeds in the land were recorded. As Ahasuerus was reading, he came to the part which told how Mordecai had saved his life by exposing the murderous plot of the two royal guards. Ahasuerus asked his servants if any honor or reward had been given to Mordecai, and they replied that nothing had been done for him. Just then Haman entered the king's chamber to speak to Ahasuerus about Mordecai's hanging as the gallows were prepared. But before Haman could say anything, Ahasuerus asked his trusted officer, "What shall be done to the man whom the king delights to honor?" And Haman, thinking that the king wanted to honor him, said, "I would give this man royal robes that the king has worn, a horse that the king has ridden, and let him ride through the streets of the city for all the people to honor." Then King Ahasuerus said to Haman, "Make haste, take the robes and the horse, as you have said, and do so to Mordecai the Jew, who sits at the king's gate." Haman was shocked by the king's request, but he obeyed Ahasuerus. In great anger and jealousy, he led Mordecai through the streets to be honored by the whole city. The next evening, Ahasuerus and Haman attended Queen Esther's feast. While everyone was eating, the king said to Esther, "What is your wish?" And Esther replied, "My wish is that you save the lives of my people and myself, for we have been ordered to die." Then King Ahasuerus said, "Who is this man who could do such a thing?" Again Esther replied, "A foe and an enemy, this wicked Haman. He has ordered the death of all the Jews, and since I am a Jew, I am to die too." Angrily, King Ahasuerus rose to his feet and ordered Haman to be hanged from the very gallows he had prepared for Mordecai. Then Ahasuerus gave Haman's house to Queen Esther and chose Mordecai to be his chief officer in place of Haman. When the Jews heard of this victory against the villainous Haman, who threatened to take their lives, they all gathered and made an enormous feast. To this day, every year, the Jews celebrate a holiday called Purim, at which time this ancient story of Esther is retold.
The story of Esther saving the Jews from death is remembered at Jewish festival of Purim. This is a joyful celebration in which a scroll containing the book of Esther is read aloud in the synagogue. The scroll is often ornate and decorative. The reading receives a noisy response. At the mention of the villainous Haman's name, people boo and stamp their feet.
The sacred spot where Jesus gave his sermon is thought to be the Mount of Beatitudes, a low hill near the Capernaum with views over the Sea of Galilee. This church you see in the background stands up top the mount today.
We head towards the New Testament for one of Jesus' nature miracles. Located in a basin bordered by mountains, the Sea of Galilee is known for sudden storms. Jesus ordered the winds and the waves to return to calm, and they obey him. The disciples see for themselves that he is able to control even the powerful forces of nature. They are in awe of his abilities, and their faith grows stronger.
One day, he got into a boat with his disciples.
"Let us go across to the other side of the lake."
So they set out, and as they sailed, he fell asleep. A storm of wind came down on the lake, and they were filling with water and were in danger. And they went and woke him.
Master! Master! We are perishing!
He awoke and rebuked the wind and the raging waves, and they ceased. And there was a calm.
Where is your faith?
And they were afraid, and they marveled.
Who then is this, that he commands even wind and water, and they obey him?
It is now time to pray with our whole being as we stand and praise God through this action, and to guide us through these actions is our action guide, Simon.
Hi everyone, my name is Simon and today we are going to learn an action song. So your first step is going to be, the lyrics are, come on now, let's open up a book. So first, your hands are just going to do a come and a come action. Okay? Just 1, 2, 3, 4. And your legs, you're going to step right 2 times, left 2 times. Okay, so together that will look like 1, 2, 3, 4. And then the lyrics are, let's open up a book. So you're going to pretend like you're holding a book in your hands up, and you're just going to bring it down in front of you. And you will look at the book from up to down. Okay? So let's do from the start. 5, 6, 7, go. Come on now, let's open up the book. Okay, after this, it says again, come on now. So same steps. Come on now. And then it says, take a good long look. So you're just going to make 2 circles with your hands like this. And you're going to hold it over your eyes. And you're going to look in the 4 directions. So right, left, up and front. Okay? And take a good long look. And then the lyrics are, and see. So for this, your right hand is going to be on your eyes, like this. And you're going to go all the way like a semicircle, from your left to right. So, and see. And then the lyrics are, God has given us all we need. So your right hand is just going to come up. And you're going to take it down like this in front of you. That is, God has given us. After this, the lyrics are, all we need. So your hands are going to go right, left, need. Okay? Legs are just doing a simple step, step and in. Okay? So let's do all of these steps from the beginning, from come on now. 5, 6, 7, go. Come on now, let's open up the book. Come on now, and take a good long look. And see, God has given us all we need. So we finished till here. We need. After this, the lyrics are to be free. So you're going to just cross your arms like this, like a chain or something. And that's to be, and on free, you're just going to open your arms like this. And your legs are just going to close and open. So together that will look like to be free. Okay? Let's do this one more time from the top. 5, 6, 7, go. Come on now, let's open up the book. Come on now, and take a good long look. And see, God has given us all we need to be free. Okay? So now that you've learned it so far, let's try it on the music once.
Come on now, let's open up the book. Come on now, and take a good long look. And see, God has given us all we need to be free.
Our last step, we ended at to be free. After this, the lyrics are, it's about you, it's about me. So you're standing like this. After this, you're just going to step your left leg in the front. And you're going to point to in the front with both your hands like this. Okay, so that is on it's about you. After that, it's about me. So point towards yourself and lean back. Okay, after this, the lyrics are, it's about the truth. So for this, you're just going to jump back and your hands just hit your right hand to your left palm like this. Okay, so from the start that will look like, it's about you, it's about me, it's about the truth. After this, the lyrics are, the truth that sets us free. So for this, your hands are just right, left and in. Legs are right, left and in. So together that is 1, 2, 3. Okay, from the top, 5, 6, 7, go. It's about you, it's about me, it's about the truth that sets us free. Now the lyrics are L-O-V-E, love. So we're going to spell it out. The first step is left hand up, right hand out like this. So we're making the letter L like this. Second letter is O. So you're going to make a O like this by joining both your hands above your head. So it makes a O. Then V. So just open your hands like this and it makes a V. And for the last letter E, your left hand is going to make a circle above your head like this. right hand is going to be straight out and you're going to kick your right leg out. So that's an E. Okay? So from L, 5, 6, 7, go. L, O, V, E, and last is love. So for the last love, you're just going to cross your arms like this. Okay? After this, the lyrics are from the Father up above. So your right hand again is going to go up and come straight down in front of you. From the Father up above, you're going to point up and just jump 3 times. Okay? Let's do that from the top. 5, 6, 7, go. It's about you. It's about me. It's about the truth that sets us free. It's about L-O-V-E, love from the Father up above. Okay? Let's try that on the music once.
To be free. It's about you. It's about me. It's about the truth that sets us free. It's about L-O-V-E, love from the Father up above. It's about.
After this, the lyrics are, it's about hope. So for it's about hope, your hands are just going to go up, like make a circle and go up like this. Okay, and you're just going to bend and stand up straight. Okay, so together that will look like, it's about hope. Then the lyrics are, it's about life. So from here itself, you're just going to bring your arms down like this. Okay, very slowly and make a circle. And at the same time, you're going to jump out like this. So that's going to look like, it's about hope, it's about life, it's about the love of Jesus Christ. So for this, you're just going to bring your arms in front of you and hug yourself like this while just jumping like this. Okay? So just right, left, okay? So that will look like, it's about the love of Jesus Christ. After this, the lyrics are, it's about everlasting. So your right hand is just going to make a cross in front of you. Okay? Just cross, and your legs are just going to go with it. Okay, so you're just going to switch and switch. Okay? It's about everlasting, never failing. So your hands are just going to cross, and you're just going to jump with that. So together that will look like, it's about everlasting, never failing, and you will nod along like no, and then it's just love. So you're going to make a heart with your hands and push it forward like this. From the top, 5, 6, 7, go. It's about hope, it's about life, it's about the love of Jesus Christ. It's about everlasting, never failing love. Okay? Now that we've learned that much, let's try that on the music.
The Father up above. It's about hope. It's about life. It's about the love of Jesus Christ. It's about everlasting, never failing love.
Now that we have learned the steps so far, the lyrics in the song are going to repeat all over again as is, and we're going to do the same steps that we've learned already. So let's just do a quick run through the steps, and then I'll tell you a little change in the end, and that's it. Okay, so let's do it from the top. 5, 6, 7, go. Come on now, let's open up a book. Come on now, and take a good long look and see God has given us all we need to be free. 5, 6, 7, go. It's about you, it's about me, it's about the truth that sets us free. It's about L-O-V-E, love from the Father up above. It's about hope, it's about life, it's about the love of Jesus Christ. It's about everlasting, never failing love. Okay, so you finished it so far? Now, the chorus repeats again. So the whole, it's about you, it's about me, it's about the truth that sets us free, it's about L-O-V-E, love from the Father up above. Same thing again, it's about hope, it's about life, it's about the love of Jesus Christ, it's about everlasting, never failing love. Now after this, it again repeats the last part, that is everlasting, never failing love twice. The third time, it's everlasting, never failing. After this, there's just a little addition, ever faithful, never ending love. That's pretty much it for the whole dance. Let's try it from the very top on the music once. Just try to enjoy the steps and see if you get it. So yeah, let's do it.
Come on now, let's open up the book. Come on now, and take a good long look and see God has given us all we need to be free.
It's about you, it's about me, it's about the truth that sets us free. It's about L-O-V-E, love from the Father up above. It's about hope, it's about life, it's about the love of Jesus Christ. It's about everlasting, never failing love. Come on now, let's open up the book. Come on now, and take a good long look and see God has given us all we need to be free. It's about you, it's about me, it's about the truth that sets us free. It's about L-O-V-E, love from the Father up above. It's about hope, it's about life, it's about the love of Jesus Christ. It's about everlasting, never failing love. Oh, it's about you, it's about me, it's about the truth that sets us free. It's about L-O-V-E, love from the Father up above. It's about hope, it's about life, it's about the love of Jesus Christ. It's about everlasting, never failing love. It's about everlasting, never failing love. It's about everlasting, never failing, ever faithful, never ending love. Thank you so much for learning this action song with me. I hope you enjoyed it. I will see you. Bye.
That felt good, didn't it? Let's put our hands together to give Simon and ourselves a big round of applause. Our next treasure is from the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 13, which has so many nuggets in the form of parables. Here you will find some 7 parables about the kingdom of God, but we will focus on the parable of the treasure.
In many countries around the world, there are stories about buried treasure. And in the lands of the Middle East, they've always been popular. In the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 13, Jesus told a story about buried treasure, but this time it was a parable to make people think. The kingdom of heaven, said Jesus, is like treasure hidden in a field. Many centuries ago, during a time of war, the people were taken as prisoners, and a rich man who was running away from the enemy buried all his gold in a pot, hoping to come back later. If he was killed or taken prisoner, then the treasure would remain buried, perhaps forever, or until some fortunate person would find it. Hundreds of years went by, until one day a farm worker was in the field, and accidentally he discovered the pot. The farm worker was curious. Of course, this object might just be a piece of broken pottery thrown away many years ago. That was not unusual. But a pot which was unbroken and had been carefully sealed must contain something of interest. It could be money, some copper coins perhaps. At least he could look and see what it was. It was incredible. A fortune. It was more than he could imagine. More than a man like him could earn in a whole lifetime of work. But legally, all this belonged to the present owner of the field. If he just took the treasure, he would be a thief. There was only one answer. If he could buy the field from its present owner, then everything on the land, including the treasure, would lawfully belong to him. He must get money. He must sell what he had. It was only a little piece of land, but he was poor. It would cost him literally everything he owned. He could not explain what he was doing. He seemed to be quite mad. These were things he had worked for, but now he seemed not to care. Everything was sold for cash. At last, he had just enough money to buy the field, and fortunately the owner was quite happy to sell it. The land was his, and legally, so was the treasure. He could hardly believe it. It was all his. This man was no fool. Now people would know why he had sold literally everything just to get this piece of land. Now he could buy 100 fields if he wanted to. He was richer than he could have ever dreamed. Jesus had made his point. Some things are so important, their value outweighs everything else you have. And then he told another story. The kingdom of heaven, said Jesus, is like a merchant seeking beautiful pearls. More than silver, more than gold, pearls were costly. Only the richest of the rich could afford the best, the finest pearls. Julius Caesar gave the mother of Brutus a pearl worth 6 million sesterces. Cleopatra possessed pearls worth 10 million sesterces. That was 6,000 years' wages for a working man. The merchant looking for beautiful pearls might go to many cities, and he always had a network of contacts looking for the best. This time, the merchant felt he had a good lead, but negotiating a deal could be difficult. The dealer was cautious. He knew that men would kill to obtain such a pearl as he had. The merchant must use both patience and diplomacy. To find jewelry, even fine gold, this merchant finding a pearl, or the farmer finding a treasure, is like the kingdom of heaven. It is beyond comparison. It is worth everything you have, and more.
The kingdom of God is a gift to us. But if we are to profit from the gift, we must grasp it and not let the opportunity slip by. If we really understand the worth of the kingdom, we shall grasp it with great joy. We turn our attention to the sacrament of Holy Eucharist and its origin in the Bible. In Genesis chapter 22, verse 7, when Isaac was carrying the wood for sacrifice up Mount Moriah with his father Abraham, he asked his father a simple but proactive question. Behold, the fire and the wood, but where is the lamb for a burnt offering? Abraham, the great father of faith, gave his son a prophetic, faith-filled answer. God will provide himself the lamb for a burnt offering, my son. Abraham recognized that the ram was not the final sacrifice God would offer. In the future, a lamb would be offered to atone for sins once and for all. Abraham and Israel would journey through salvation history in anticipation of the day when the Lord would provide the lamb himself. The lamb became an important sacrifice for Israel in her exodus from Egyptian bondage. On the night of the Passover, the Israelites were commanded to take a male lamb without blemish and sacrifice it. Prophet Isaiah in chapter 53 describes the suffering servant as a Passover lamb. He was oppressed and he was afflicted, yet he opened not his mouth, like a lamb that is led to the slaughter, and like a sheep that before his shearers is dumb, so he opened not his mouth. When John the Baptist saw Jesus coming to him, he cried out, Behold the Lamb of God who takes away the sins of the world. John's declaration about Jesus would make perfect sense to the Jews who had anticipated with Abraham that the Lord would provide a lamb, and with Isaiah that this lamb would atone for the sins of the world. John the Baptist prophetically revealed Jesus and the lamb. Saint John, the beloved disciple, described the passion and death of Jesus in a way that highlights the fact that Jesus is the new Passover lamb. In the Eucharist, we are called to share in the life of God. Jesus himself thought, I am the living bread which came down from heaven. If anyone eats of this bread, he will live forever. And the bread which I shall give for the life of the world is my flesh. It's time now to look at some fun activities for us to draw out of the Bible and into our family gatherings.
Hello everybody and welcome to day 3 of the family fun and games Treasures from the Bible. Today we are going to be playing Bible Pictionary. I'm sure most of you are familiar with this game. If not, let me explain. Bible Pictionary is a super simple game that only requires pen, paper, a timer, cards with words on them and 2+ players. Let me first explain how to design a card. You need to list 5 words in a card. The words can be related to a scene from the Bible or a biblical character, etc. An example of a card is on your screen. You can create a bunch of cards before you begin playing the game. Let me explain how you play this game. Divide yourselves into teams for this game. The aim of the game is to guess as many correct answers as possible from the cards. Choose one player from a team to be the first drawer. Once the card is drawn, the drawer has 5 seconds before they must begin to sketch. Once 5 seconds are up, the time is set to 1 minute and the drawer sketches their words. Remember, a sketch cannot include letters or numbers. All players then guess in the first round and have 1 minute to do so. The team that guesses correctly first gets a point. That's all you need to know to get started playing Pictionary. So go bust out the pen and paper and have some old-fashioned creative fun. There is also a tool called Draw It that allows you to play the game online with your friends and family over a Zoom or Skype call. So enjoy!
That is all for today, friends. As usual, we will await for your response and inputs. Remember, you need to send in your responses by 8 p.m. this evening. Watch out for the details in the Bible Treasure WhatsApp group or Telegram channel. Have a nice day and we look forward to seeing you tomorrow.